This is the 30th of Jan, and I, for one, am having very low-key plans this year for New Year's. I might step out and meet a couple of friends, but that's about it. I'm going to be doing a low-key celebration with all my books and all the reading. So last night, I was just looking at all my shelves, and there was this one book, a most unlikely culprit, so to speak. I bought this when I went to Champaka, Goa back in 2023, when I visited for the first time. This was a souvenir that I picked up for myself, and the cover is really misleading. And when you see the phrase "the friend," you really think maybe this book is about the relationship an owner has with their dog and how their dog is like their best friend. So I went into this not knowing anything, but it has managed to surprise me. I am currently 22 pages in, and it is well written. I am just really absorbing the sentences. I'm really liking this book, and I'm wondering why I didn't get to it earlier. I think this is one of those underrated books, but I'm really happy to be getting to this at the time that I am. The font size is a little small, so I'm going to try and still read it. I do have a couple of things planned. I'll show you bits of my life, and I'm also going to talk about the books that I'm reading. This is a video I love making, so I'd be happy if you stayed and watched till the end. Sit back, relax, enjoy this video. So yesterday I went to meet a friend and we did something really fun. We visited this bookshop called Bookstop, but unfortunately they weren't allowing us to take video footage of the bookstore. You would have just seen the footage of like the bookshop from the outside, but it had a really great collection and the bookshop is in Kormangala, My friend had this wild idea that we just pick up books for each other and get them gift wrapped in specific wrapping paper that we chose ourselves. She also suggested we buy each other flowers, which is what we did yesterday. Here's a photo for reference. But it was a lot of fun. I ended up buying her The Palace of Illusion, which is a book I've read in the past. So that's a book she's been very eager to read and things like that. This shop curates books and they have a really good collection of fiction, literary fiction, non-fiction, children's literature as well. So go to Bookshop in Kormangala if that is something you're looking for. I ended up getting this book from my friend and I'm going to open this and show you what's inside. My friend was feeling very generous yesterday because she ended up getting me a pretty pricier book, and then she said, this will be your birthday gift as well, which sounds fair. I already know what book this is, but I'm just going to open it and do a little bit of an unboxing. Try and open this as neatly as possible so that we can recycle the lovely polka dotted gift wrapping paper. So this book is something I'm going to read in 2025, and unfortunately I forgot to ask her to write inside it. I wrote inside her book, but she didn't write inside mine. I did my best. I opened it in the neatest way possible. Here is the book, guys. So it's Empyrean. This is her latest, and she's one of the previous winners of the Nobel Prize for Literature. So this is actually a health resort horror story, and I am always up for things like that. This had been on my list for quite some time, and I was happy to spot a copy in the bookshop. But it was not my intent to even hint to my friend that this is a book that I wanted. But she sensed that this is the kind of book I would really like, and she ended up picking it up for me. This is set in 1913, and this is about a man who visits a guest house for gentlemen. It's a health resort in the Silesian mountains. It's about a young Polish man, and a beautiful Fitzgerald edition that I am now adding to my collection. These are special editions of books. So this is the Empyrean. I also ended up getting myself a book. This is the last book that I purchased in 2024. The reason I got this is because it was just 124 rupees on Amazon when I checked. It's been on my wish list for the longest time. So I am opening this, and the book in question is White Nights by Dostoevsky. This book has been doing the rounds. It's a TikTok sensation, and I'm super excited to be reading this. So I have been reading The Friend by Sigrid Nunez. I was a little surprised because initially I thought it's not about a dog, but then I'm now 36 pages in and it is about a dog. There's a woman who kind of had a complicated relationship with a person whom she's been friends with for the longest time. And then that person ends up dying, and that person had a dog which his third wife had given him. The third wife comes to request the narrator to kind of keep the dog on behalf of her dead husband, because now there's nobody to look after the dog, and will the narrator accept that request or not? So this is about, I think, loss and grief. It's written really well. There's a lot of allusions to other pieces of literature, especially J.M. Coetzee's Disgrace, which has been referenced in this. I think it's also got certain parallels that can be drawn between that book and this one. I did read that in 2024. I don't have any New Year's Eve plans. It's going to be very low-key. But I'd love to know what you all are doing for New Year's Eve, what you all did by the time this video goes up. Let me know in the comments. Hi guys, Happy New Year, Happy 2025. So today is January 1st and I am going to be doing something slightly offbeat today, taking you all to the Art of Living Ashram. I want to show my friend this place and I'm going to take you all along with me so that y'all can get some good vibes for the New Year's. That is what we're going to be doing. So I went to Sapna Book House last evening and I bought this book. This is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I've been really keen to read this book because I'm seeing it doing the rounds. And it is about a girl who receives a frantic letter from her cousin, who's a newly married person who moves in with her husband, but the cousin's husband is really menacing and he's not really great. The protagonist of the story kind of goes amateur sleuthing and tries to kind of figure out what's going on in her newlywed cousin's house, but the house is haunted and the protagonist has to deal with that as well. There's this whole backstory and everything, so I'm really excited. It's also giving me Rebecca vibes for some reason. I don't know if it's just this cover, but the cover was partly responsible for me buying this. There is another cover of this book that I'm not so fond of, but I'm really glad I found this in Sapna because it's 20% off and I was like, this is my sign to pick up this book, which is what I did. Hi guys, I have just finished reading the first book of 2025. I really enjoyed The Friend by Sigrid Nunez. It was actually about a dog and a woman and their relationship, but also about how the dog stands in for the woman's best friend in life, who was an author and her mentor, right? So the woman is attempting to get better at writing and she wants to be a writer. It has a lot of discussions about writing itself. The narrator is not much of a dog person. When her friend passes on, she has to take care of his dog. So that situation comes about and she lives by herself. So she kind of is attempting to heal her grief by engaging in a form of writing. And this is also about writing as healing in that sense. So I thought it was really brilliantly executed. I've given it 4 out of 5 stars and I would definitely want to read more books by Sigrid Nunez. One thing I really enjoyed about this book is the fact that it is full of allusions. An allusion is when one particular text mentions another text. So when an author mentions several books, not as references, but she kind of uses them in the fictionalization of a story, that's when it becomes really interesting, right? Because those are parts of this book as well. As I was reading this, there were a couple of sentences about Rainer Maria Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. And I, after having read those sentences, felt like immediately buying that book. I have actually started reading Letters to a Young Poet, which I was able to pick on Amazon. This is again the relationship between a mentor and a mentee, because Rainer is somebody who's very successful as a poet and there's a struggling writer in this who writes letters to Rainer asking for advice about life and how to write creatively. And this is all about creativity and I'm 20 pages in and it's really, really good. So it's interesting how one book kind of led me to another. This book also was great in that there were a lot of facts. I learned so much about animals, for instance. So she just has a way of integrating facts and illusion and also a narrative within a narrative. So there's a lot going on in this really tiny book of just 220 pages. I thought it was a perfect way to start my 2025 reading year. Let me know what you all read in the first week of 2025. I'd be eager to know in the comments. That's the update I have. I'm going to be going and checking out this cafe. It's called Subko, which is a new coffee house in Bangalore. They have some great variety of food and coffees as well. So I'm going to take you along. It's currently Sunday, I think the 5th of Jan, and this vlog is still on. I am back with another update. In the course of this vlog, I have finished reading the second book of 2025, and that is Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. Now, Rilke is actually a German poet and he's extremely famous. He had a very interesting life and I've always wanted to get into his work. But I just got the push that I needed after reading The Friend, because in The Friend, there were a lot of intertextual references to Rainer's poetry and what he says, particularly in this book, Letters to a Young Poet, because The Friend was about writing and the whole process of creative writing and creativity. That then redirected me to this book and I ordered it off Amazon. He's actually a mentor to an upcoming writer who goes to the same military school that Rainer went to when he was younger. This person is an aspiring poet and he sends his poems to Rainer Maria Rilke to get his feedback and some criticism on how he should improve as a writer and a poet. So a lot of advice is contained in this book, and this advice is not just pertaining to writing, it's also something that applies to life in general and what you should have as your approach in life and things like that. I think one of the main key takeaways for me was his advice about needing solitude. So Rainer says that you need to surround yourself with moments of solitude and peace, and that is when your best creative work will come to the fore. If you're in a creative block, get into a situation full of solitude where you are left to your thoughts, and that will in turn lead you to write poetry that you'll be proud of. He also gives some advice about life, about how it's just important to just live and embrace life and let it happen the way it is. So I have underlined a lot in this book, and there were so many sentences that I absolutely loved. He also says that when you are finding it difficult to make a choice, it is often that you need to do the difficult thing, right? So that's probably the right thing to do. And I thought that gave a lot of clarity to me, who I can be a little indecisive at times. I don't know who can relate, but this was just brilliant, right? So I just loved a lot of the stuff that he said in this book, and I would definitely want to read more Rilke's work. So this was definitely a great idea to jump into as a second book of 2025. So I know this vlog was a little bit of a mishmash, but it was my first time trying this format and I wanted to show you bits of my life as well. It has been a great first week of January. I couldn't be more grateful for the week that I had, and I hope you enjoyed watching this reading vlog as much as I did making it. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Help me by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. I'm also on Instagram, where I do a bit more of fun things over on Instagram at Bookish Bulletin. So please be sure to hit me up over there and say hello. I'd be glad to converse with you. I will be back soon. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane, happy reading. Bye.